Welcome back to the Heartbeat of Money. I'm your host, Jon P. Moffitt, and today we're diving deep into a conversation about voice, wealth, and legacy. My guest, Laurie Mabelis, a public speaking coach who has worked with TEDx and clients all over the world. She went from being a shy kid to becoming a presenting expert who helps entrepreneurs, leaders, and change makers speak with confidence and impact. Laurie believes that public speaking isn't just about words, it's about creating emotional shifts, unlocking breakthroughs in mindset, and building legacy. And that ties right into what we do here, exploring the heartbeat behind money, the mindset, the emotion, and the spirit that drives everything we do. She also has a free masterclass that takes you deeper into her approach. So stick around for the details on that. Laurie, we're honored to have you on the show today. Welcome.
Super cool, man. I'm stoked to talk to you about. It's gonna be fun.
Oh, I'm so excited. So, Laurie, let's start with your story. How did you make the journey from shy kid to confident speaking coach working with TEDx and global leaders?
Yeah, it seems like a fascinating gap, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's really true. Like when I say this now, like nobody believes me except for the people who knew me and like let's say 14 years and younger. Like I was the girl um who didn't dare to speak to strangers at all. Like I remember this one moment where we were going out to dinner at a restaurant with my parents, and then I
Yeah.
got this Diet Coke with like this thing that you need to clip. What do you know what it's called? Like the
Yeah, the thing that opens it. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, the thing that opens it. And I didn't have the thing that opens it, so I asked my dad, "Do you have the thing that opens it? Because I want to drink it." And my dad says, "No, no, no, just ask the waiter." And I just remember, I mean, I just still remember thinking, Dad, like, how can you say this to me? Like, I'd rather not drink than ask this to someone I don't know. Like, it was really, really this sincere, you know? And
Yeah.
what happened to me is when I got to university, this is the shorter version. When I went to university, I got into a room with all introverts. And the teacher asked the question and no one would respond. And I
Yeah.
mean, tell me a little bit, right? I'm playful. I've always been playful. I was just playful with the people I knew. And then when I was
Yeah.
surrounded by people I didn't know, I was like super quiet and I could literally disappear in energy, right? Like you have
Right.
people everybody had this skill where you can kind of disappear with still being there. I was really good at that. Didn't want to get the turns, didn't want the attention at all. Um
Yeah.
but then we were in a full class of introverts. I thought, oh man, it's
Yeah.
gonna be a long year. No,
It-
this is gonna be so boring. So, I thought, if no one's gonna respond, I know everybody knows the answer, so I'll say it. And
Yeah.
I, I got okay with that. Like this is
Yeah.
bad, and I started to get a little momentum. It was so funny because at the end of the year, our teacher gave us certificates. Is the like it's in the Netherlands is like this thing when you succeed in your first year. And
Yeah.
he created this little story about everybody, and then the class needs to guess on who the story was about. And
Yeah.
instead of me not be chosen or forgotten, I got chosen like 5 times, but everybody
Oh, wow.
was. And my dad and my mom were there. My dad was like, Laurie, it seems like you're the class clown here. Now, I'm confused because this is the identity thing, right? When you say
Yeah.
identity about growth or identity about next level, I had this identity of like dad, like that doesn't make any sense. Like, of course I'm not. And then I
Yeah.
started to think, like, based on what he saw, I actually understand that he would say such a thing. And then I just started to
Yeah.
think, like, what if I am? I mean, I think about it.
Yeah. You start owning it a little bit, right?
Exactly. And then
It,
and then just gave me confidence. And then when people see you a certain way, they start to ask you different things and you start to lean into that and then that starts to compound.
that is such a great story. I love that. So, public speaking is ranked one of the top fears in the world. What do you think terrifies so many people about that and what pushes them or helps them push that or past that?
Yeah. Yeah, I think the stage is more than just a place to stand on. It kind of is a magnifying glass of patterns that the stage represents. So the stage is a place where you stand and you speak in front of, but what if it is a place where you're actually seen and people are looking at you? What if it's a
Yeah.
place where people could potentially judge who you are, which is one of our biggest fears. Not being loved, not being appreciated, not being seen, afraid
Hmm.
of rejection. So everything that we are afraid of in normal life already kind of gets amplified through stages. So I think it's just an easy way of saying the human experience sometimes is personal, and through speaking I feel it a little bit more. That's why I'm afraid of that, because I don't want to feel those feelings and I don't want to risk that, basically. That's
Yeah.
what I perceive it to be. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, a lot of people are really nervous. So how do you take them from being nervous to like a powerful speaker? What are some things you do?
Yeah, that's a good question. So, with the fear of public speaking, I mean, it represents something that's bigger than just the place that you're standing on, but there's also different reasons. And I can share three right now. Number one, it's a really easy one, and that is preparation. Because if you don't know what you're going to say, will you be nervous? Yes or no?
Yeah.
Most probably you will. So, step number one is like there's a framework, there's a science. So understanding the framework and knowing what to do already creates so much clarity and kind of can, like release some pressure. But then there's,
Hmm.
two other ones that are a little bit more deep. So one of them is what I call human wiring. We as humans were all mainly focused, especially when we're in stress moments, on survival. And the stage is not a place where, this really needed in our lives. So it's really easy for our brain to come up with all reasons to not to go there. And then reason number three, and this is where most people, that is the deep rooted core of really being afraid of speaking, is that they had negative experiences before, especially when they were a kid, right? I work with
Oh,
people who grew up in dictatorships, and literally when they would share their opinion, they would go to jail. So now they're all
oh,
adults, and now they're, wanting to stand on stages, but part of their brain is just still believing that this is dangerous and they need to go to prison. So we can intellectually understand we need to prepare, we have these steps, but, and this is how they work, is you have a part where you understand the science, but also
yeah.
where you go a little deeper and look at those patterns and work on those.
Entrepreneurs are often struggle with the transition from their expertise into compelling message. I'm sure you have a frameworks that helps them simply kind of connect with people. Can you kind of share a little bit of your framework?
Yes, oh, for sure. And that framework, like the way of thinking, and that is really important, because when we share from our expertise and we share factual information, then what happens with our audience is they might understand what you're sharing, but they don't feel, oh, this is to me. Like this is for me. Or this is actually
Hmm.
something that I want to do something with, and I want to do that with you, and I want to work together. Because more often than not, as experts, right, we want to invite people on the journey, because just a speaking moment, it's not going to change someone's life. Like someone's
Right.
life will be changed when they say yes to their journey, which is probably working with you. So in order to do that, we need to be aware what stage of speaking we're in. And also, these are three steps. I'll share them with you. Number one is
Hmm.
more factual and informational speaking, where you just share the facts. Number two is motivational speaking, where we bring the energy up, right? This is where we get excited, and you probably know people who put in their LinkedIn bio motivational speakers. Rah!
Yeah.
Yeah, right? Like, you bring up the energy, you get people excited, you get us.
Yeah.
Everybody's screaming and jumping around. But then where it really, really sticks, and where it is not just temporary excited, but long-term sustainable excitement and change, is where we're able to get that external enthusiasm, but we help people to feel that from within. And a tool to do, and I mean, probably everybody has heard of it, but it's now like, how do you apply it? Is the use of storytelling. Because
Hmm.
when we use stories, people are able to see it. When we're seeing it, it's saved in different parts of our brain, so people actually remember. So, um, storytelling is a really great way. And to make it
Yeah.
practical, so regarding the framework that you asked, is what you can do is when you look at what you want to get accomplished, what you want to share, is what are the three main tips or the main teaching points that you have for your audience? And can you come up with a story for each of them? Is there a way that you can elaborate a little bit on every single point in a way that people are able to visualize it for themselves?
I love that. That is such a great, great, simple way to go about it. I love 3 teaching points, tell a story in 3 points. So I'm super curious. You've worked with hundreds of speakers. Can you think of one story? I don't need names or anything, where you took somebody that, was shy or fearful and you just saw this transition in them. And then when they got on stage, you were just like, whoa. Can you share anything like that?
Oh, for sure. Like the woman that pops up in my mind right away was a woman who kind of already crushed it in her life. Like sometimes we don't give ourselves enough grace to just see that we're basic presenters, but other people do.
Yeah.
Then you don't give yourself credit for it. So this woman, she already crushed it. She had a career in Hollywood. She was working with superstars. She was a fitness trainer, helping them, traveling around the world, speaking to all of them, helping them with scripts, and she's comfortable with attention. She
Yeah.
wants to be in the spotlight.
Yeah.
Then like life happens, and then confidence goes a little down, but part of her still had this dream of standing on the big stages, and that's exactly when she asked for my help. It's like, Laurie, I have
Yeah.
so much information, I don't even know what my message really is. I just have a lot of talent. I dream of being on stages, and I know I can do it because I've done it before, but talking about my personal stories and with the level of confidence that I feel right now, I don't know how. I don't know how. And we
Yeah.
done that, yeah, we got her from an informational speaker to a motivational speaker to level 3 transformational speaker. We connected the storytelling with the teaching points. And now she had the courage to sign up for a speaking competition. And
Nice.
she stood on stage together with Jamie Curran Lima, Jesse Itzler, like really big names. She became third, but she said, Laurie, I just won because I got my confidence back. I got my clarity back. And because of that boost of confidence, she now secured a TEDx talk. She got on it. It's already live and uploaded on YouTube. She
Nice.
collaborated with some really, really big people because she was willing to stand up in places she would normally shy away. And she actually had a collaboration with one of the sharks from Shark Tank, right? So,
Nice.
like, so many things can open up when you're willing to stand up for your message and have the courage to lean into that process instead of shy away from it.
I love that. Stand up for your message. Man, that is such a great, great tagline. I love that so much. Shift gears a little bit on you. Has there ever been a moment in your life when money brought up a strong emotion, fear, shame, pride, or joy? And how did that experience shape you today?
Yes. There's a moment in my life, but also a moment of one of my clients that he actually created a story from that pops into mind. Because he actually won the lottery. And from no money, they got to they became a millionaire, and that actually led him to almost commit suicide because he didn't know how to handle money. And that's
Oh, wow.
he's sharing with other people that it's not about the money, but more what it represents and what you do with it. So
Right.
money is a powerful tool. And the moment for myself that it got a very strong emotion was actually when I started with my own
Hmm.
business. I've been in
Yeah.
business my entire life. I may not be, like super duper old, but I did do some fun stuff with business. And first, we were innovators within the corporate arena. And that's
Yeah.
why I started with speaking, because I saw that there are so many incredible people within the corporate organizations that had great ideas, but they did not convince HR people with money, resources they could allocate for them because they just couldn't present it. And I thought it was
Yeah.
such a shame because we were also helping these people. So, like, we got to do something. And no one in our company was doing it. And I just did it. So,
Yeah.
read a book about presenting and I just went for it, and I got so much repetition because I was the only one doing it that I got
Yeah.
good in it. And when I decided, you know what, this is a great trajectory, but it's not completely living my personal dream, I decided to sell my shares and give myself the bandwidth of a year to build my own company without completely knowing the direction of where that would go. Just following
Yeah.
hard and helping heart-centered people stand up for their message, what we just said, and really get
Yeah.
the stages. And in the beginning, I mean, I was not so profitable. You know,
No way.
so
It's not starting a business. No, come on.
I know we're the only ones. So I mean, I put like my life savings into this because I really also,
Believed in it.
yeah, I believed in it, but I also didn't know what else to do. Like when I go, and this was it. So there was a moment I was living as a digital nomad. I was on a balcony in Tenerife. I look around the ocean and I'm like super super zero. You know,
Right. Right.
but how are we ever gonna build this thing? Because I really want this to work, and I know it works. I know it, just I know it. So I got to do something. And then I remembered a sentence that I think it was Tony Robbins who said this: "Is if you learn something, then who do you learn it from? You learn it
Mm.
from the best in the industry that has proven results." So
Right.
I thought I'm not really selling a lot, so I probably should learn to sell better. And I came across someone who had a proven record, like really good in sales, and I'm like, I need this now, but I had to pay a certain amount that I didn't have on my bank account. So that was fascinating.
Yeah.
Felt in the depths of my soul, like this is it. I need to do this. And this is the
Oh,
first time in my life that I've ever borrowed money. I
yeah.
convinced the person to borrow me the money. I put it down, and within 8 weeks, I tripled that money because I was so all in. Paid it back, and really gained momentum from there. That basically never really stopped. So there was a lot of emotion. I mean, I tell it now in a very nice
Yeah.
way, but I had panic attacks for weeks, and it was really it was
Was
really
it the courage to ask them for to borrow the money? Was that where the emotion lied, or was it because it sounds like you believed in yourself, you knew it was the right thing to do. So was it more asking for, somebody to help you, or where was the emotion that created the anxiety?
yeah, I think it was partly asking for help, but also feeling that I was not able to do it alone. So not,
Yeah.
yeah, so feeling like, oh, I need this help right now, and I feel like, yeah, it's like I really need to ask for help. But on the other side, it was also like a tremendous amount of faith because now this person also believes in me. So now I better do it because them to not have their money back because I had this fluffy dream that
Yeah.
just was not real. So it just created a lot of pressure for me, I guess.
Oh yeah. It's such an interesting journey. It's usually a very short time in when you go through all that, but it feels like forever. And you play different scenarios in your head of different ways it can go, and you're like, and none of that ever happens, right? And it really comes down to the passion within you that drives through, and the money just becomes something around it. Many entrepreneurs tie themselves to self-worth, and their self-worth to their net worth. What emotional breakthroughs do you see when clients find their voice and realize their story has value? Like, have you ever seen that, like when they're all of a sudden, oh my gosh, like I can make money. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, dude, there's nothing like it. There is nothing
Yeah.
like it because that is almost the biggest belief that keeps people away from the stage. Because so many people dream of being on the stage. So many people dream of, sharing their story and be the one that other people stand up for and like like give a standing ovation and come to you and say, "Oh my God, you changed my life." And then the beliefs of, yeah, but other people have a wilder story. Who cares about mine? Doing all these things. Like, I need to have this heroic journey. I worked with a guy who grew up in Africa in a family of like a lot of people, and he didn't have shoes.
Oh, wow.
Like, he didn't have shoes. He slept on grass
Mm-hmm.
that was put a little bit above ground. It
Yeah.
like what I at least thought of, like, holy cow. And now he's a serialpreneur in America. And he thought, well, I'm not a millionaire yet, so it's not very inspiring yet. I'm just not there
Yeah.
yet. And I'm like, I mean, you don't have this doing, being the shy kid who got the confidence. Like, well,
Yeah.
that love now. So,
Right. Right.
there's everybody compares him or herself with the next level version that they should be in order to be worthy of the stage. But then I also work with people who are just, like, I worked with this guy. This is just the coolest story ever. He is very passionate about the environment, and he wants to inspire corporate organizations to do more stuff for the environment. And then he read a book called The Compound Effect. And he
Yeah.
thought this compound effect, where 1 becomes 2, 2, 4, 4, 8. What if we do that and we kind of use the framework on our goals, our environmental goals, and we use
Yeah.
it with that? Like,
Yeah.
that was his idea. He read a
Yeah.
he read a book and he just had a thought, and he thought, what, that makes me worthy of the stage. I'm gonna do a TEDx talk. And I helped him with it, and he had a great story. And then other people are like, yeah, but I don't have 1 million yet, and I don't have 1,500,000 followers, and there's other people who have just a little less wrinkles. And then he was like, I read a book. I'm ready.
Yeah. Yeah, right. I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
It all clicks for me now. We never know when it clicks, right? Like we have this burning desire inside to make an impact in the world that we're in. And we do it through work, and we do it through family, and do it through speaking and all these different ways. And then we get to a point in our life where, like, we really want to make an impact. And we feel, I think a lot of times, like even this podcast and the listeners, my ability to bring somebody like yourself on here and share amazing stories to impact people, to maybe spark their interest into getting out there and sharing their story. It's all about us making an impact. And whether you read a story or you spend your life in a career kicking ass and then eventually, get up on stage, I think it's such a great thing to get up and share your story. You offer this free masterclass. What would listeners expect to gain from it? And who should probably definitely sign up?
Yeah. Now, well, if you're listening all the way here, there's some sort of curiosity about around the stage. You might not fully want to lean into it, which is not necessary, but you're at least curious. So that is for you.
Yeah.
And what they're gonna learn is everything we talked about now. We're gonna more look into the implementation of it, right? It's called the 5 biggest mistakes that most people are making regarding speaking and how to solve them. So we're gonna
Hmm.
look at the biggest problems. We're gonna look at the solutions, and we're gonna make sure that it's very practical, so people are able to make a change for them now.
Yeah, I love that. I love it. Okay, so if you could leave our audience with one piece of advice to immediately elevate their present themselves, whether it's on stage, in a meeting, or even in a conversation, what would that be?
Mm. There would be. It's not about you and your story, but it's about the transformation that you want to create. So if you're thinking, is my story worth sharing, and do people really care about my story? Then sometimes I say this is a joke, but not really. Well, I can give you certainty, because they don't. They don't care
Yeah.
you and your story. Like, no one really cares. But they care about the insights that they get from it. So if you're nervous about speaking, you're just too focused on yourself. And
Yeah.
wherever you want to speak is if you can understand what the audience wants and just give it to them in a way that makes you uniquely you, with your energy, with your presence, with your personality, with your stories, you got it all figured out.
Oh, I love it so much. This is all such great information. Is there anything you'd like to ask me?
Ooh, yes. What are you going to share? Like, imagine if I would introduce you to get on stage right now. Then what would be the transformation that you want to facilitate for people?
So I'm very passionate about, that's a great question, by the way, but I'm very passionate about people that are entrepreneurs understanding, first of all, that they're not alone, and that when you're going through decisions and you're going through the emotions of making those decisions, there's 100 other entrepreneurs out there going through the same emotions and going through the same journey that you're going through. And I really feel like once entrepreneurs know that there's other entrepreneurs out there going through that journey and they're not alone, that they can then start to make impact in their businesses. So, for example, the people that are working in the jobs, yeah, they're worried that they do a good job and they're worried that, they can get a raise. But the entrepreneurs, a lot of times, are up at 3 o'clock in the morning and they're worried about the employees. They're worried about their clients. They're worried about their family. They're sacrificing so much in their life and they feel like they're on this island and they're by themselves. So the transformation that if I was able to get on stage is to, first of all, deal with your emotions, feel, I call it, call out the facts around your emotions, transition where you are in your emotion to get yourself in a better place before you start making decisions, whether you're going to expand your business, whether you're going to sell your business, whether you're going to make a new hire. Try to get your emotions in the right place first before you actually start to work on the business. So my big transformation that I would try to establish if I were to get on stage is helping the journey of the entrepreneur starting a business, operating a business, and exiting a business, the emotions around that, and understanding that when you make decisions from a certain emotion, you're going to get a different result. And so if you can get the emotions under control, you're going to get a better output on the decisions you make in your business and in your journey.
Wow, that is so powerful. I think that it ties back to your questions, like what big emotion did you ever feel about money, and if you would have swapped the emotion, would there be a different outcome? Would there be a different result?
And so I grew up in a family, didn't have a lot of money, but the one thing my parents did give me was hope. Whatever I believed in, they encouraged me to go get it. They stood behind me. I had some crazy stories, but they would be the two people that would say, okay, John Paul, we believe you. You can do it. Even if it was way out there in right field and everybody's like, he's nuts. It's never going to happen. They were the two people that gave me that hope and stood behind me, but they didn't have a lot of money. And so I, at a very young age, kind of looked at money that way. I started looking at it as it comes, it goes, it's in, it's out. Um, the one thing I can tell you that emotionally bothers me is like when you said you borrow money or your investors invest in you and you don't do it or it goes wrong. Like dealing with the emotion, picking yourself up after either quitting or supposedly failing. Cause I don't believe we ever fail in life. I believe we go through things and things happen to us and we learn from it and we get stronger and we get better. So is there ever really a failure or is there just a redevelopment of yourself? But, going through that journey of saying, okay, I didn't succeed. I took somebody else's money. How do I let that go? Especially if you have heart and you like, okay, I just borrowed this money for this speaking thing that I'm doing. What if I fail? How can I pay it back? Am I going to go have to work, 3 jobs to pay this guy back and my idea didn't work? But I think if your passion is right, a lot of times, and you surround yourself with the right people, I think some of the biggest mistakes I've made in my life is having the wrong proximity, the people around me. And proximity is huge. If you put yourself in, a group or proximity around people that are like-minded with the passion for what they're doing, you're going to get a different outcome as well around the emotion, right? And so really getting through that journey of being like, okay, I didn't fail. I didn't succeed. I'm picking myself up and I lost money. And so really getting your emotion around money and being like, okay, it comes, it goes. It's based on our emotion, based on our thoughts, and based on our decision. And educating yourself around money is big too. I think having the knowledge as much as you can. So when I was a young kid, I always wanted to understand money from a bank's perspective. So I went and worked for a bank and I would study the underwriting guidelines in every industry and do a deep dive so I could really understand why does a bank that's been around for 100 years want to loan money to that business at such a low percentage? And the reason is they had so many experiences with so many businesses in that industry. They knew what a good business looked like based on their numbers. But more importantly, those numbers came from the decisions and the emotions of the leaders. So really you had to dive into who was leading and what was their emotional state and how did they make decisions in their business that was different from somebody else that was in the industry. So, that's been always super intriguing to me is to dive into the emotions and thoughts of entrepreneurs and leaders and how one business that sells carpet is amazing and another business that sells carpet isn't. And why is that? They're both selling carpet and it comes down to the emotional place of the person that's running the business at the end of the day.
Oh man, that is so powerful. That is so powerful. You know what I love the most is your passion about all of this.
Yeah. Well, it's been my journey. I was a little kid. I was born, I don't know, was I 7, 8 months old, and I was in a crib in a pizza restaurant. And that pizza restaurant's still around today. It's 50 years old. And so I've been an entrepreneur in business. We were in the restaurant, food and beverage. My dad was in the construction business, loved developing real estate and learned banking in my early 20s and 30s. And so it's been a really fun journey. But well, thank you for that question. That was fun. I haven't talked about that stuff for a while, so that was really cool. Cool. Well, Lori, I really appreciate you being on the show today, and I really enjoyed being there, having you on here. If anybody's interested, we're going to have a link in the body of the description of the YouTube channel here. Remember, this is the Heartbeat of Money. I'm Jon P. Moffitt, your host, and we will see you next time. Please tune in, subscribe, join, like. We love you guys. Thanks for listening.